What if I told you that the entire foundation of Western civilization, the greatest empire of freedom, innovation, and prosperity the world has ever seen, is collapsing right in front of our eyes? Not because of some external enemy with tanks and missiles, but because of a slow, insidious poison we've injected into our own veins over the last 60 years? What if the delusions were force fed every single day about equality, relationships, family, and gender roles aren't just harmless mistakes, but deliberate weapons designed to erode the very pillars that hold society together? And what if by the time you finish watching this video to the very end, you finally see the undeniable proof that the West isn't just declining, it's already fallen? And the only question left is whether men like you and me are going to stand up, walk away, and build something new, or go down with the ship. Stick with me, because what I'm about to lay out is going to hit harder than anything you've heard before. And by the end, you'll never look at the world the same way again. Yeah. If you're getting value from this right now, smash that like button, share this video with every man you know who needs to hear this truth, and subscribe for more no holds barred angry guy content that cuts through the bullshit. Also, if you're tired of being financially raped by this collapsing system and you want to take control of your wealth before it's too late, go check out Angry's Crypto Academy right now. I'll teach you step by step how to buy, sell, trade, and most importantly, protect your assets in crypto so you can build real generational wealth outside their rigged fiat casino. The link is in the description. Pause this video and click it now, because the sooner you start, the sooner you stop being a slave to their system. All right, let's dive in. Gentlemen, brothers, warriors who are still awake, I want you to picture something with me for a moment. Imagine standing on the walls of Rome in its final days. You look out and you see the barbarians at the gates, but that's not what destroys the empire. No, the real destruction is already inside the walls. The citizens are fat, lazy, entitled. The men have grown soft. The women dictate terms that no sane society could survive. The family unit is shattered. Birth rates plummet. The currency is debased. The military is more concerned with diversity quotas than winning wars. Sound familiar? That's not ancient history. That's us right now in 2025. The West has fallen. I don't say that lightly. I don't say that for clicks. I say it because every single metric, every piece of data, every real world observation screams it from the rooftops, while the mainstream media and the blue pill zombies pretend everything is fine. But it's not fine. Nothing is fine. And the core reason, the absolute root cause, is the complete and total delusion of modern women combined with the abdication of masculine responsibility that enabled it. And let me take you back to the beginning, because this didn't happen overnight. This was a slow boil that started in the 1960s with the sexual revolution, second wave feminism, and the introduction of no fault divorce. Before that, society had a contract, an unspoken but ironclad agreement that held everything together. Men built, protected, and provided. Women nurtured, supported, and maintained the home and family. It wasn't oppression, it was symbiosis. It was the natural order that created stability, prosperity, and civilizations that lasted thousands of years. But then came the pill, the Playboy bunny, the free love movement, and suddenly women were told they didn't need men. They could have careers. They could sleep with whoever they wanted. They could divorce for unhappiness and take half the man's wealth, plus the kids, plus child support, plus alimony. And what did men do? Most men rolled over. They said, no, yes, dear. They thought if they just became nicer, more sensitive, more egalitarian, women would reward them with love and respect. And how did that work out? Fast forward to today, and we have an entire generation, actually two or three generations, of women who have been brainwashed into believing they are eternal victims while simultaneously being told they are strong, independent queens who need no man. They want the traditional benefits of masculinity, protection, provision, strength, but they refuse to offer anything traditional in return. Loyalty? Gone. Submission, Trigger word: respect for a man's leadership, laughable. Building a family early when she's at peak fertility? No. First, she needs to find herself by riding the carousel through her 20s, stacking bodies like it's a video game achievement. And the statistics don't lie. Let's talk numbers because feelings don't build civilizations. Facts do. In the United States alone, over 70% of divorces are initiated by women. Why? Because they know the system is rigged in their favor. They get the kids 80 to 90% of the time, even when they're clearly unfit. They get child support that often exceeds the actual cost of raising children. They get alimony in many states for life. And the man, he gets financially destroyed, emotionally broken, and often loses access to his own children. Is it any wonder marriage rates have plummeted? Men are finally waking up and saying, why the hell would I sign that contract? Birth rates in every Western country are now below replacement level. Italy, Spain, Germany, Canada, the UK, America, all dying slowly because women have been sold the lie that career comes first, that motherhood is a burden, that having children in your late 30s or 40s with IVF and sperm donors is just as good as having them naturally in your 20s with a devoted husband. Science says otherwise. The risks skyrocket after 35. Autism rates, Down syndrome, miscarriage, all dramatically increase. But try telling that to a 38-year-old career woman who spent her prime years chasing promotions and alpha males who pumped and dumped her. She'll call you misogynist while secretly crying into her wine with her cats. And speaking of cats, the cat lady phenomenon isn't a joke. It's the end stage of this delusion. These women end up alone, bitter, and depressed because they priced themselves out of the market. They wanted the top 5% of men, the tall, rich, jacked, charismatic chads. But those men have options. Those men aren't settling for a 35-year-old with a body count of 50 plus and an attitude that could curdle milk. Those men are either staying single, dating younger women abroad, or building harems with the power of modern dating apps. Tinder, Instagram, OnlyFans, these platforms have completely distorted female perception of their own value. The average woman now gets hundreds of matches, thousands of likes, and constant validation from simps in her DMs. She thinks she's a 10 when she's a 5 on her best day. She rejects good men left and right because she deserves better. Then she hits 30, the wall hits her like a freight train, and suddenly those good men she ignored are nowhere to be found. They're married to younger, sweeter, more feminine women, often from Eastern Europe, Asia, or Latin America who haven't been poisoned by Western feminism. This is hypergamy on steroids, gentlemen. Women naturally want the best man possible. That's biology. But in the past, society put guardrails on that instinct. Marriage, social pressure, religion, family expectations, all of it kept women in check. Now those guardrails are gone, and we're seeing the raw, unfiltered result: chaos. Let me tell you a story that perfectly illustrates this. I knew a guy, let's call him Mike, solid dude, six figures, fit, loyal, wanted a family. He met a girl in her late 20s, cute, seemed traditional at first. They got married. 2 years in, she decides she's unhappy. No cheating on his part, no abuse, just boredom. She files for divorce, takes half his assets, gets primary custody of their kid, and now Mike pays her thousands a month to sit on her ass while she dates new guys. Mike? He's broken, works two jobs just to stay afloat, sees his son every other weekend if she's feeling generous. This isn't rare. This is the norm now. Multiply Mike's story by millions and you have the West today. But it's deeper than just divorce rape. The delusion extends to every aspect of society. Women now dominate universities. 60% of college graduates are female. Great, right? Empowerment. Except what are they studying? Gender studies, communication, psychology, degrees that produce nothing of tangible value, while men still dominate the dangerous, dirty, essential jobs that keep society running. Construction, oil rigs, mining, trucking, electrical work, 95% plus men. Who do you think builds the roads you drive on? Fixes the power when it goes out? Fights the wars? Men. Always men. Yet these same men are told they're toxic, that masculinity is the problem, that they need to do better, while women are perfect just the way they are. The obesity rate for women under 40 is now over 40% in America. But try telling a plus size queen she's unhealthy. You're fat shaming. Women initiate 80 plus percent of the violence in domestic disputes, according to some studies, but we only ever hear about male perpetrators. Women are given lighter sentences for the same crimes, fact. But equity, equality, only when it benefits them. The workplace is another disaster zone. Affirmative action, diversity hires, quotas, all pushing unqualified women into positions they didn't earn while competent men get passed over. Then, when the company fails or the project crashes, somehow it's still men's fault. Look at Boeing's recent disasters, Disney's box office bombs, the Secret Service failures, all under heavy female leadership influence. Coincidence? Maybe once, but not every time. And don't get me started on the military. The strongest military in the world is now more concerned with pronouns and pregnancy simulators than lethality. Women in combat roles lower standards because biology doesn't care about your feelings. Men are stronger, faster, more aggressive on average. That's not opinion, that's science, but we pretend otherwise. And our enemies in China and Russia are laughing as they build armies of stone cold killers with no such delusions. The education system is ground zero for this war on boys. Little boys are drugged with ADHD medication because they have energy, natural masculine energy, that the feminized school system can't handle. They're told sitting still for 8 hours and obeying female teachers is the only way to succeed. No recess, no competition, no roughhousing. We punish boys for being boys while girls get endless praise just for existing. The result? Men are checking out. Suicide rates for men are 4 times higher than women. Male college enrollment is dropping fast. Men are refusing to participate in a game that's rigged against them. And honestly, good. It's about time. This is where men going their own way and men walking away comes in, but we'll get to that. First, let's talk about the media propaganda that keeps this delusion alive. Every movie, every TV show, every commercial, the message is the same: men bad, women good. The bumbling idiot dad with the wise, hot wife. The girl boss who needs no one. The strong, independent woman who beats up 20 men twice her size. It's fantasy, it's lies. And young women consume this garbage and believe it's reality. Social media amplifies it a thousandfold. Filters, angles, editing. Every woman looks like a supermodel online. They post thirst traps and get flooded with attention, then wonder why real life men don't measure up to the top 0.1% they see on their feed. Meanwhile, the average guy gets zero matches because the apps are designed to keep men paying and women flooded with options. OnlyFans has created a generation of entitled e-girls who think shaking their ass for simps is work and deserves the same respect as a man grinding 60 hours a week in a factory. These women make six figures selling nudes while mocking broke men who won't date them. The irony is thicker than their makeup. And the body count issue. Oh, we're definitely going there. A woman's pair bonding ability is directly correlated to her sexual partner count. Study after study shows that the higher the number, the lower the chance of a stable marriage. Women with 0 to 2 partners have divorce rates under 20%. Women with 10 plus, over 80%. But society celebrates sexual liberation while families crumble. Pastors won't preach it. Politicians won't say it. Even most red pill content creators dance around it. But I'm an angry guy. I tell the truth. The West has fallen because we abandoned God, abandoned biology, abandoned reality for feelings and fantasies. We traded strength for weakness, truth for comfort, family for individualism. But here's where it gets even darker and why you need to watch to the very end. The delusion isn't just personal, it's institutional, it's governmental, it's global. And the darkest part, the part that should make every man watching this clench his jaw in cold fury, is that this collapse was engineered. It wasn't an accident, it wasn't progress. It was a deliberate, multi decade psyop designed to fracture the family, neuter men, and turn the population into atomized, taxable, controllable consumers who are too weak and distracted to resist the boot coming down on their necks. Let me walk you through exactly how they did it, step by step, because once you see the blueprint, you can never unsee it. Phase one started in the 1960s with the CIA and Rockefeller Foundation heavily funding the feminist movement. Yeah, you heard that right. Gloria Steinem herself openly admitted in her own writings that the CIA helped bankroll Ms. Magazine. Why? Because every empowered Western woman who delays marriage and children is one less stable family unit that could resist state power. Every divorced man paying alimony and child support is a broken slave working three jobs instead of organizing his brothers. Every single mother dependent on government checks votes for bigger government every single time. It's not a conspiracy theory, it's a documented convergence of interests between globalists and radical ideologues. Phase two was the destruction of the gold standard in 1971 and the deliberate inflation of the money supply. Suddenly, one income wasn't enough anymore. Women had to work. They were told it was liberation, but it was just double the tax revenue and half the wages for men because now twice as many people were competing for the same jobs. The nuclear family became economically impossible for most people under 40 today, unless they're in the top 10%. You think that's coincidence? Phase three was no fault divorce laws rolled out state by state through the 70s and 80s. Before that, you needed cause, adultery, abandonment, abuse. After that, irreconcilable differences. Translation: I'm bored, give me cash and prizes. The family courts became wealth transfer machines from men to women, enforced at gunpoint by the state. And who lobbied hardest for these laws? Feminist organizations funded by the same usual suspects. Phase four was the education indoctrination pipeline. Starting in the 90s, teacher training colleges became feminist echo chambers. Boys started getting systematically discriminated against. Zero tolerance for rough play. Pink shirts for anyone who said boys will be boys. Ritalin for any boy who couldn't sit still like a good little girl. Today, in many Western countries, boys are punished for standing to pee if they're in kindergarten. I wish I was joking. Phase five was the smartphone and social media weaponization in the 2000s, 10s. Give every 12-year-old girl a dopamine slot machine that convinces her she's a celebrity. Flood her feed with luxury, alpha males, and fake up tutorials. Make sure the average boy gets no likes and constant shaming for existing. Result: girls mature emotionally later than ever while believing they're queens. Boys either turn into incels or simps. Either way, family formation craters. And now we're in phase six, the open celebration of degeneracy and the criminalization of normal masculine behavior. You can lose your job for saying there are only two genders, a fact that literally every mammal on the planet demonstrates. You can be investigated by child services for not letting your 8-year-old son take puberty blockers because he played with a doll once. Meanwhile, Drag Queen Story Hour is stunning and brave. Clown World isn't a meme anymore, it's policy. But here's the part that should light a fire under every man still listening. They need you broken, but they're terrified of you awake. Because when men finally say enough, everything changes overnight. Look at what's already happening. Marriage rates are in free fall. Good. Men are refusing to be ATM machines. Birth rates are collapsing, Bastiman, painful in the short term, but it's forcing reality to intrude on the fantasy. The wall is undefeated, and millions of women in their mid 30s are starting to panic as their eggs dry up, and the good men they rejected are nowhere to be found. Passport bro numbers are exploding. Men are leaving in droves. Thailand, Philippines, Colombia, Poland, Hungary, anywhere women haven't been completely poisoned yet. Crypto adoption is overwhelmingly male because men are building parallel financial systems outside their control. Gym memberships are at all time highs. Testosterone levels are rising among young men who reject seed oils and porn. Red pill content is the fastest growing genre on every platform, and the system is cracking because men are walking away. And that's exactly what terrifies them most. Every time a man lifts heavy, stacks crypto, builds his body and his business, learns game, travels abroad, and refuses to sign the marriage contract, he's voting with his feet. Every time a man mentors his younger brothers, instead of caping for entitled women online, he's rebuilding the tribe. Every time a man chooses peace over slavery, he's starving the beast. Let me tell you another story, a true one this time. No names to protect the legend. There was a guy in California, software engineer, making 300,000 a year. Beautiful house, nice car, the whole package. Met a girl, Instagram model type, early 20s, seemed sweet. They got engaged fast. He put her name on the deed to the house to prove his commitment. 6 months later, she cheated with some DJ, filed for divorce, took half his savings, kept the house because she needed stability, and got spousal support for 3 years while she figured herself out. He lost everything. Ended up sleeping on a friend's couch at 38 years old. But here's where the story turns. Instead of roping or coping with booze and video games, he got angry, real angry. He sold whatever he had left, bought a one-way ticket to Medellin, Colombia, learned Spanish in 6 months, started a remote consulting business, and within 2 years was making more money than before while living like a king on 3,000 a month. Met a gorgeous 24-year-old traditional girl who cooks, cleans, worships the ground he walks on, and just gave birth to their first son. He sends me pictures sometimes. The smile on this man's face is something you can't fake. That's resurrection, gentlemen. That's what walking away looks like. And he's one of tens of thousands now. The West has fallen, but the men are rising. The empire is dead, but the remnants are building new kingdoms outside the walls. And this is only the beginning, because the same forces that destroyed Rome are watching in horror as men rediscover the old ways. Stoicism is back, lifting is back, tribalism is back, God is back for many. And most dangerous of all, and men are starting to talk to each other again. Real talk, no filters, no apologies. Look at the comments under any red pill video with 1 million views. It's not just venting anymore. It's coordination. It's planning. It's brothers sharing passport strategies, crypto wallets, gym routines, and warnings about which women and which countries to avoid. We're building networks they can't infiltrate because they revolve around real world excellence, not online clout. And women feel it slipping away. That's why the rage is getting louder. That's why articles about the end of sex and where have all the good men gone are popping up weekly in the legacy media. They're not concerned. They're desperate. The hamster is running out of wheel. I want you to really let this next part sink in. Every empire that has ever fallen went through the exact same stages we're seeing now. One, bread and circuses to pacify the masses. Check Netflix and Uber Eats. Second, debasing of the currency. Check infinite money printer, go bird. Third, corruption of women and family. Check OnlyFans and abortion on demand. Four, effeminization of men. Check soy boys and male feminists. Fifth, invasion by stronger, more masculine outsiders who still have their balls intact. In progress, look at Europe's migrant crisis and who's actually committing crimes versus who's in prison for memes. And Rome didn't fall because of lead pipes, it fell because Roman men stopped being Roman men and Roman women stopped respecting them. Then the barbarians walked in and took what was left. History is rhyming so hard, it's screaming. But here's what history also shows: when the old empire collapses, the men who preserved their strength, their honor, their seed, they become the founders of whatever comes next. The Dark Ages weren't dark for everybody. While the cities burned, strong men built monasteries, farms, and war bands in the countryside. They protected their women and children. They kept the flame alive. And when the time was right, they came back and built medieval Europe. Flawed, yes, but 1,000 years of cathedrals, knights, and Christendom that birthed the Renaissance and eventually the modern world. We are those men now. The West has fallen, but we are the remnant, and the remnant always inherits the future. So, what does that mean practically right now in 2025? It means you stop playing their game entirely. You lift heavy weights 4 to 5 times a week until you're an absolute unit. You eat meat, eggs, and sunlight. You delete porn and social media that rots your brain. You stack Bitcoin and Monero like your bloodline depends on it, because it does. You learn a high income remote skill or build a business that can't be taken from you. You get your passport and scout locations where the women still value family over feminism. You find your brothers in person, not just online, and you build something real. And most importantly, you refuse to participate in your own destruction. No more white knighting, no more simping, no more not all women, no more marriage until the laws change or you're in a country where the contract isn't suicide. No more dating used up carousel riders who think their master's degree in gender studies makes up for 50 bodies and blue hair. You walk away. You go MWA until the cost of female behavior becomes too high for society to ignore. You let it burn if that's what it takes. Because the only thing that ever forces reform is consequence. And consequence is finally coming. I predict within the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see a complete inversion. Women in their 30s and 40s begging for commitment that never comes. Birth rates so low that governments start paying men to marry. Watch. Dating apps collapsing because men delete them en masse. Entire industries built around desperate women, freezing eggs and renting wombs crashing when the money printer finally breaks. And on the other side of that chaos, a new equilibrium. One where feminine women who bring peace, beauty, and children to the table are rewarded again. Where masculine men who protect and provide are respected again. Where the family is sacred because we learned the hard way what happens when it's not. But that world won't be built by the masses still asleep. It will be built by the men who saw the collapse coming, who got angry, who got strong, who walked away, and who refused to go down with the ship. That's you if you choose it. But let me slow this down for a second, because I can already hear the Blue Pill Brigade and the feminist lurkers sharpening their keyboards in the comments. They're going to scream misogynist, incel, and bitter, all the programmed buzzwords they've been trained to deploy when a man dares to speak unfiltered truth. Let's dismantle their entire script right now, piece by piece, with cold, hard reality, because the truth doesn't care about your feelings, and neither do I. First objection: no, not all women are like that. Yeah, we've heard it a million times. Nawald, the last refuge of the simp. Here's the thing: even if only 60 or 70% of modern Western women are completely lost to the delusion, and the data says it's closer to 90 in the under 35 cohort in big cities, the remaining 10 to 30% are either already locked down by high value men before they hit 25, or they're overseas where feminism never took root. So, for the average man in London, New York, Toronto, Sydney, or Los Angeles, the statement, all the women I have access to are like that, is functionally true. Exceptions don't make the rule, and they sure as hell don't pay your bills when family court hands her your house. Second objection: you just hate women. No, I love women, or I real women, feminine, kind, Loyal, family oriented women who bring peace to a man's life. The kind my grandfather had, the kind your grandfather had, the kind that still exists in Poland, Colombia, the Philippines, rural Hungary, parts of Asia, places where feminism is seen as the mental illness it is. What I hate is the entitled, delusional, government backed monstrosity that Western society has turned half its female population into. I don't hate the scorpion for stinging. I hate the idiot who keeps picking it up expecting a different result. Third objection: women have always been oppressed. This is progress. Let's talk about that fairy tale for a minute. For 99.9% of human history, life was brutal for everyone. Men died in wars, in mines, on hunting grounds at sea. Average male life expectancy was often lower than women's because men did the dying so women could live. Women died in childbirth at horrific rates before modern medicine, which men invented, by the way. But here's the key: roles were clear, complementary, and respected. A man's status came from his ability to protect and provide. A woman's status came from her beauty, her virtue, her children, and her ability to run a household that supported her warrior or farmer or craftsman. And nobody was oppressed in the Marxist sense. They were surviving together. The idea that women were property is a modern feminist lie. Dowries went from the bride's family to the groom to help establish the new household. Bride prices in some cultures went the other way. Inheritance laws in most European societies allowed women to own land and businesses. Look at medieval widows running guilds and estates. The women couldn't own property thing only applied to married women under coverture in certain common law systems. And the trade off was that her husband was legally responsible for all her debts and actions. It was a shield, not chains. But go ahead. Keep believing the Disney version of history if it helps you sleep at night while your tax dollars fund her fourth abortion and her master's degree in interpretive dance. Fourth objection: men abandon women first. Deadbeat dads, toxic masculinity. Another inversion of reality. Deadbeat dads are a tiny minority. The vast majority of single mothers chose to have children with men who were never going to commit, often high body count bad boys they were warned about. Or they kicked a decent man out of his own house via frivolous divorce and then alienated the kids from him. Men don't abandon their children. The system removes them and then blames them for the removal. And toxic masculinity? Give me a break. The same society that calls a man toxic for wanting a virgin wife celebrates women getting railed by the entire starting lineup of a football team. The same society that says a man asserting boundaries is controlling cheers when a woman weaponizes false accusations to destroy a man's life. The hypocrisy is so thick you need a chainsaw to cut through it. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room that nobody on the mainstream, right or left, will touch with a 10-foot pole: race and culture. The West isn't just falling because of feminism, it's falling because the specific European peoples who built it are being replaced at an accelerating rate, while their birth rates sit at 1.3 to 1.6 children per woman. Sweden went from 98% ethnic Swedes in 1980 to barely 70% today, and the fertility rate of native Swedes is under 1.4. Same story in France, Germany, the UK, Canada, America. The replacement isn't coming from high IQ, high trust populations that share our values. It's coming from places where tribal warfare, low impulse control, and religious fundamentalism are the norm. And who opened the gates? The same progressive feminist globalist class that told women they didn't need families while importing millions of fighting age men who still have their masculinity intact. Men who laugh at Western soy boys and take what they want because nobody stops them. Look at the crime statistics in London, Paris, Malmo, Minneapolis. It's not even debatable anymore. But say it out loud, and you're the bad guy. This is demographic warfare combined with psychological warfare. And Western men are losing both battles because half our women are too busy clapping for diversity to notice their sons will be minorities in the countries their grandfathers built. But again, the remnant is rising. I want you to think about something that should absolutely enrage you if you have any fire left in your belly. Every single institution that was supposed to protect you has betrayed you. Dash. The government taxes you into oblivion and gives your money to single mothers and migrants. The courts destroy you for the crime of being born male. The universities indoctrinate your sons and daughters against you. The media calls you the villain in every story. The churches bend the knee to rainbow flags and female pastors. Even the military, the last bastion of masculinity, is now led by men who apologize for being men. You are on your own. And that's the most liberating realization you will ever have. Because once you accept that no one is coming to save you, no politician, no pastor, no daddy government, you stop waiting and you start building. You become dangerous again. You become the kind of man your ancestors would recognize, the kind of man who doesn't ask for permission, the kind of man who takes what he earns and protects what he loves, the kind of man who looks at a collapsing empire and says, "Good, let it burn. I'll build something better on the ashes." And that's exactly what thousands, soon millions of us are doing right now. We're creating parallel societies, crypto wallets that can't be seized, remote businesses that can't be taxed into oblivion, gym cults where men speak truth and forge iron brotherhood, passport strategies that let us vote with our feet, networks of like minded men who share resources, knowledge, and protection. Digital nomads in Thailand teaching each other Muay Thai and day trading. Expats in Medellin building families with women who say yes, sir, and mean it. Guys in Eastern Europe marrying 22-year-old virgins who can cook a 5-course meal and still look like a runway model. Men in Dubai stacking tax free money while the West eats itself. This isn't coping, and this is conquering. This is what winning looks like when the old system declares war on you. You don't fight for scraps at their table, you build your own table in a better country with better rules and better women. And you invite your brothers to feast with you. Let me tell you about another brother. Real story happened last year. Guy named Alex, former Marine, did 3 tours in Afghanistan, came home broken, PTSD, divorced by his high school sweetheart while he was deployed. She got the dog, the house, and his pension. Spent years drunk and suicidal, found the red pill in 2021, got sober, started lifting, learned software development online, saved every penny, moved to Poland on a digital nomad visa in 2023. Within 6 months, he was dating a 25-year-old Catholic girl who spoke 4 languages, played piano, and wanted 6 kids. They got married in a 900-year-old cathedral last spring. She just had their first son, named him after Alex's grandfather who stormed Normandy. Alex sent me the baptism photos. Grown men in the group chat were crying. That's what victory looks like. That's what walking away produces. The West has fallen, but men like Alex are the new founding fathers of whatever comes next. And the best part, the women back home are starting to feel the cold wind. I want you to imagine it's 2030. You're sitting on your balcony in Buenos Aires or Belgrade or Bangkok, sipping something strong, watching the sunset with a beautiful feminine woman who adores you and your 3 kids playing in the yard. Your crypto portfolio is up another 400% because you stacked when everyone else was coping. Your body is an absolute weapon because you never stop lifting. Your brothers are flying in next week for the annual meetup, 10 days of training, feasting, and masterminding. And back in whatever is left of the Anglosphere, the headlines are screaming about the sexlessness crisis and where have all the men gone? While 40-year-old girl bosses with purple hair and boxed wine are writing think pieces about how men need to step up. You'll smile, pour another drink, and thank God you woke up when you did. That future is not a fantasy. That future is inevitable for any man watching this who decides right now to stop participating in his own destruction. So here's your call to action. Not rah rah motivation, but cold, hard orders from a brother who's been in the trenches. 1. Delete Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, all of it. Today, they're designed to extract money and hope from you. Second, cancel any OnlyFans or porn subscriptions. You're funding your own enemy. Third, get your testosterone tested this month. If it's under 600, fix it. Lift, sleep, eat beef, get sunlight, throw away plastics. Fourth, open a crypto wallet and start stacking Bitcoin and Monero every single paycheck, 10% minimum. Fifth, book a scouting trip. 3 weeks in Colombia, Philippines, Poland, wherever calls to you. Go see the difference with your own eyes. Sixth, find one man this week who's awake and meet him in person. Coffee, gym session, whatever. Build the tribe. Seventh, stop arguing with feminists online. You're not red pilling them, you're giving them attention they crave. Starve the beast. Do these 7 things, and in 12 months, you will be a completely different man living a completely different life. The West has fallen, but you don't have to fall with it. You were born for this moment. Your ancestors survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and famines so that you could be here right now, awake, angry, and ready to rebuild. Yeah, so get angry. Then get to work. Because all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. Now, I want to hear from you. What part of this hit you the hardest? When did you realize the West was already gone? What's your walking away plan? I want to take you even deeper now. Because if some of you are still sitting there thinking this is just another rant, just another angry dude on the internet yelling about women and society. Some of you are nodding along, but deep down there's still that little voice whispering, maybe if I just find the right one, maybe if I just work harder, earn more, become top 1%, they'll finally respect me. Let me kill that voice right now, slowly and deliberately, because that voice is the last chain they have on you. That voice is the voice of a slave who thinks if he just polishes the master's boots a little better, the master will finally love him. Wake up. There is no right one left in the Western dating pool that is worth the risk for 95% of men. The numbers are brutal and they are not getting better. In 2025, the average 28-year-old woman in a major Western city has already slept with 12 to 20 men, and that's the ones she admits to on anonymous surveys. She has 50,000 Instagram followers thirsting in her DMs. She has a corporate job that pays her more than her father ever made, adjusted for inflation. She has been told since kindergarten that she is perfect exactly the way she is, that boundaries are violence, that commitment is a tool of the patriarchy, and that if a man ever disagrees with her, he is abusive. And you think you're going to lead that? You think you're going to fix that? You think your love, your provision, your frame is going to override 15 years of cultural programming, state indoctrination, and constant validation from thousands of simps? Brother, I've seen six-figure, jacked, charismatic Chads get divorce raped by these creatures. I've seen special forces veterans lose their kids because she got bored. I've seen pastors, doctors, entrepreneurs, men at the absolute top of the food chain reduced to shells of themselves because they believed in the Disney lie that there's one special girl who will love him for him. There isn't. Not here. Not anymore. The unicorn you're chasing was slaughtered decades ago, and her hide is now being worn by influencers selling courses on how to be a high value woman. The only unicorns left are 19 to 24, sheltered, often religious, or from traditional immigrant families. And the moment they get a whiff of Western culture, university, corporate jobs, social media, 80% of them turn into the same entitled monsters within 3 years. The remaining 20% get locked down instantly by men who move faster and don't hesitate. You are not going to outgame the entire system. You are not going to out earn female hypergamy on steroids. You are not going to outframe a legal apparatus that can take your children, your money, and your freedom on her word alone. The only winning move is not to play. And that's where most men freeze up. They hear don't play and they think it means defeat. They think it means giving up on women, on family, on legacy. That's the lie they've been sold. Walking away doesn't mean you become a monk in a cave, jerking off to anime for the rest of your life. Walking away means you take your ball and you go play on a different field where the game isn't rigged to castrate you the moment you win. Let me paint the picture of what walking away actually looks like in 2025 and beyond, because this isn't theory. This is happening right now to tens of thousands of men who are living better than any king in history. You wake up at 7 a.m. in a high rise condo in Bangkok or Medellin or Warsaw that costs you $800 a month. Sun is pouring through the floor to ceiling windows. The city skyline stretches out beneath you. Your body feels like forged steel because you trained at a proper gym last night with other expat beasts who speak your language, the language of iron and truth. Your phone lights up with a good morning text from a 23-year-old stunner who calls you my love, unironically, who cooked for you last night, who still blushes when you look at her a certain way. She's excited because you're taking her to the beach this weekend. No games, no shit tests, no where's this going talks. She knows her role and she's grateful every single day that a man like you chose her. Your portfolio app shows another $3,000 in gains because you've been stacking Bitcoin and altcoins for 3 years while everyone back home was arguing about politics on Twitter. Your remote business made $18,000 last month while you worked maybe 15 hours a week. You have no boss, no HR department, no diversity training, no threat of being canceled for saying the wrong thing. You hop on a call with five of your brothers scattered across the globe, one in Philippines, one in Argentina, one in Dubai, two in Eastern Europe. You laugh about the latest Cope article from The Atlantic about how women are lonely. You swap notes on new visa routes, new gyms, new girls, new investments. You make plans for the next meetup in Thailand, where 20 of you are renting a compound for 2 weeks of training, feasting, and masterminding. You have zero stress about false accusations because you never married here, never cohabited, never put her on your accounts. Your kids, when you decide to have them, will be born in a country where paternity fraud is a serious crime and family courts don't exist to destroy men. Your sons will grow up watching you lead by example, surrounded by masculine energy, learning how to be strong, how to provide, how to command respect. And when you occasionally check the news from the old country, the place you used to call home, you see stories about 40-year-old women with master's degrees wondering why they're depressed and childless, about governments offering six-figure bounties for men to marry, about crime rates skyrocketing because the men who used to protect society checked out completely. You feel nothing, not hate, not pity, just the cold satisfaction of a man who saw the trap, sidestepped it, and built his own empire on the other side. That is walking away. That is MWA in its final form. And it's not some distant dream, it's the reality for more men every single day. I want you to stop for a second and really visualize this life. Close your eyes and see it. Feel the sun on your skin. Hear her soft voice calling you to breakfast. Feel the weight of the barbell in your hands. See your brothers raising a glass to you. Taste the freedom. That life is on the other side of one decision, the decision to stop negotiating with terrorists. Because that's what modern Western feminism is: terrorism against men, against families, against biology, against God Himself. And the only way you negotiate with terrorists is by refusing to give them what they want. They want your labor. They want your commitment. They want your seed. They want your obedience. Give them nothing. Starve them out. Let the system that hates you choke on its own venom. Because here's the part they don't want you to know: this entire house of cards only stands because men keep holding it up. Men keep marrying, and men keep paying taxes that fund single mothers. Men keep simping on OnlyFans. Men keep defending women who hate them online. Men keep showing up to jobs that treat them like disposable utilities. Men keep volunteering to die in wars for countries that spit on their graves. Stop holding it up, and the whole thing collapses overnight. And it is collapsing. You can feel it in the air in 2025. The desperation is palpable, and every week there's a new article. The end of men? Why women are unhappy despite having everything. The marriage strike is real. Men are opting out, and society can't handle it. They're not analyzing, they're panicking because for the first time in 70 years, men are coordinating globally at scale. We have tools they never anticipated: encrypted chat groups, crypto, remote work, cheap flights, dating apps that work in our favor overseas, content creators in 100 countries speaking the same truth in 100 languages. The genie is out of the bottle and he's jacked, angry, and financially independent. There is no putting him back. So when they call you bitter, smile. When they call you loser, laugh. When they call you running away, correct them. You're not running away. You're advancing in a new direction. Yet you're the vanguard. You're the barbarian at the gates who isn't here to sack the city. You're here to build a better one somewhere else with better women, better laws, better brothers. And one day, when the dust settles and the old empire is a cautionary tale taught to children, your bloodline will be the one that survived. Your sons will ask, Dad, what was it like back when men were slaves in their own countries? And you'll tell them the truth. You'll tell them about the Great Awakening, about the men who got angry, about the men who walked away, about the men who refused to die on their knees. And they will look at you with awe because you were one of them. You were MWA. So if you're still sitting there, still hesitating, still thinking, maybe later, let me leave you with this final story. Last year, I got a message from a guy in his early 40s, divorced, 2 kids he barely sees, 6-figure debt from lawyer fees, living in a 1-bedroom apartment, depressed, suicidal. He had watched my videos for years but never pulled the trigger. Then one day, his ex sent him a text bragging about her new boyfriend, some tatted up loser with a rap sheet, moving into the house he used to own, sleeping in the bed he used to sleep in, playing dad to his kids. Something snapped. He sold everything that wouldn't fit in a suitcase, bought a one-way ticket to Thailand, landed with $8,000 in the bank and nothing else. 6 months later, he sent me a video. Him on a beach, shredded, tanned, smiling like I'd never seen a man smile. A gorgeous 21-year-old Thai girl on his arm who looked at him like he hung the moon. He had started a small online business that was already clearing 5 figures a month. He said, and I quote, I spent 40 years in hell thinking I was the problem. 6 months after walking away, and I'm living in paradise. If I can do it from rock bottom, any man can. He's getting married next year, traditional ceremony. Her family is ecstatic. His kids are coming to visit for the summer, and they're already calling her mom. That man died and was reborn in the span of one flight. You can too, right now and today. The West has fallen. But you, my brother, are just getting started. So, what did they think about what was discussed? Do you agree the West has fallen, or are you still holding out hope inside the system? When did you personally wake up? What was the moment that shattered the illusion for you? Drop your full unfiltered story in the comments right now. Let's make this the biggest red pill thread on the platform. Like the video? If this one hit you square in the soul, don't forget to subscribe if you're ready for more truth bombs that the algorithm tries to bury. If this spoke to you, share this video with every man who needs to hear it before it's too late. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. Cheers.